fantastic people around me. Like, you know what I do. I'm a teacher. I teach the brain. Go feed your stomach. That's what my But again, because she impressed on me, and I'm glad I listened to her. So you're welcome to the first live edition of the Fireside Chat. We're going to be brief today. Today I've got some fantastic people in the house and in the audience. In the audience, I've got Chinyu. In the audience, I've got Yenga. In the audience, I've got Patrick. In the audience, I've got Uchi. I've got Izim. I've got and my wife, Belle. I've got Mayo. I've got Vivian. All of these are industry titans by their own right. And I am grateful for this opportunity. You will lend your voice to a conversation that is very important. The global career. I was having a conversation with Patrick earlier today, and Patrick said, you still have to hustle, regardless of your credentials. Last month, I said something that sometimes I'm very angry because I think I'm supremely qualified. I know lots of immigrant professionals, very qualified, but do not have the opportunity to do what they want to do in the role they want to play. Not because they are not intelligent, but because they do not unlock what I call the competence trap. So today, I've got two fantastic individuals who are not just friends, but have become an integral part of my professional journey. One of them is Temisa Sagi. Temisa is everything I admire in a man. Temisa is a father, Temisa is intelligent. Temisa is one person everybody runs to for help and is never short of answers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Temisa.
Thank you, everyone.
The second person I have here is Latifa. Latifa is a, how do I describe Latifa? Latifa is a friend. Latifa used to be a colleague at PMI. Latifa works with the government. Latifa is a fellow doctor. We majorly travel around and see ourselves in conferences. Latifa has immense experience in stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement, and how to unlock relationships that will move the needle in your career. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Latifa. Now, whether you're joining us here in order, regardless of where you're joining us, we're live on 3 platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, and what's the other one? I think Instagram. YouTube. It doesn't really matter. Wherever you're joining us here from, you're able to comment live, right? And Thomas, who is the president of the PMI OVOC chapter, and is also the man behind the tech. When I started CI3, it wasn't because I didn't have what to do. It was because of this. Bridge Barry is here. He's a professor at our company. Bridge has not been fortunate to meet Patrick, who I call a titan in the industry. And he's not met Uchi sitting beside him in the audience. If they have not met, how do we generate critical mass we need as immigrant professionals to unlock what we need to unlock? That is what CI3 is all about. Now, these conversations are raw, they are vulnerable. How do I become globally relevant? That's the question. How do I become globally relevant? How do I unlock global opportunities from wherever I am? Ika Lavanyo is the third panelist. He is on his way. But again, this is project management. This is life. Life goes on, yeah? So we're going to Now, Temisa, the first question is for you. Before we start this question, tell us your journey. How did you get to where you are, and how are you a senior program manager in less than how many years? How did you unlock the opportunities? You recently authored a paper for PMI that is global, and I know you've not been in this country for long, right? You are a global speaker. You were in Saskatoon, you were in Virginia, you were in Phoenix. How did you unlock these opportunities? In 5 minutes, Elisa.
Where do I begin?
From here.
Yeah. So how? I'll say it was made possible by listening and learning early enough to learn how to ask the right questions. I think we could ask questions, but learning to ask the right questions is an art. So I think I did it prior to like my arrival in Canada in like 2019. We didn't have the luxury of as much posts as we have today on LinkedIn or YouTube, where you have someone come and say, be so and so in 60 days or guaranteed this in 2 hours. We didn't have that luxury at the time, and we didn't have the benefit of this kind of community where we share ideas with fellow power players here, right, in attendance. So for me, I had to learn enough, like, okay, what do I want out of this professionally? Where are my gaps? And it was a lot of research and really just, I won't say moving blind, but moving with hope that I knew what I knew and I didn't know what I didn't know, like what I like in scope and out of scope, right? So that was the first thing that really helped me. And then prior to arriving in Canada, we lived in the States for about 2 years. And then I had this cousin that said, "Oh wow, this project management stuff you do in Nigeria, I hope you know is different from this part of the world. Like this PMI, I don't know anybody in our family that's passed PMP." That was like 20, whatever. I'm like, as wide as we are, it's like we're that dull or nobody's interested in PM, right? But then I was like, okay, at least me to another point, like understanding the role of credentials in your journey as a complement or to augment your journey, not really as a guarantee, right? So that really spurred me to start researching how many immigrants around that community then in Maryland really had this certification and like what it did. And through then, I was at this time I started seeing like some couple of folks on LinkedIn or YouTube, and I'd be like, "Are these guys are too far from me? I just can't reach out to folks because back home in Nigeria, we just assume those far away are actually far away." And then my wife got here. I always thank her every day, sometimes just for nothing, because it's like just ask. Like if you what's the worst that will happen? No, and you still wouldn't know what you still don't know right while you're here, right? And then I reached out to a few of them via like comments and all of that. And these are like legends in the PM space globally. And everyone made out time to have a chat with me. That was the second thing that helped me. Actually, first knowing the questions to ask myself, then taking the bold step to ask for help, right? So I really wasn't one to always come out to ask for help. Maybe where we come from, or like, as a man, you kind of figure it out thereabouts. But I learned here that asking for help has opened a lot of doors for me till date. So yeah, so I asked for help and it really set me in the direction of the expectations of what the certifications will do, and that there's actually a community in the PMI space.
So I'm going to interrupt you here. You already knew, had an idea of the kind of career you wanted. You knew what you wanted before you actually got into the country. So you did start building that network, you did start looking at what do I need to do to unlock my career globally. It wasn't when you got to Canada that you started that conversation.
No, and that's what has also like over time when I have conversations with folks that have come in like after us, I look at it like they have the luxury now to tap into these steps that we've had on the steps. And the first things what I ask is like, oh, for example, the PMI event, you would hear, oh, I want to be a project manager. I'm like, were you at any other event before this? Yes, the cybersecurity event. Did you also tell someone you wanted to be a cybersecurity specialist? They said yes. What other events were you before then? I was at a nursing event. You also told me you wanted to be a nurse, right? Yeah. So the point is, it's not bad to be all of those things, but what is the want and what is the need? What is the means to an end, and what is your dream destination, right? So just to double on that. So again, it's like going back to knowing, like, or having a sense of this is what I'd like to do. And there's always, if you look hard enough, there's always someone that has gone before you in that path. If you look hard enough, the point is sometimes we don't look hard enough. Sometimes we really would give up because we tend to benchmark our trajectory by the successes of others, right? And then sometimes LinkedIn doesn't help, where people say, "I'm happy to announce," right? And then for it's like it's like I get those conversations like, "Hey, are you free for like a 30-minute sync?" Yes, what happened? On my timeline, everyone is like, "I'm happy to announce, I'm happy to announce." Like, why not me? And I liken the analogy to when you want to buy a car. Suddenly you see the car you want to buy everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a sign that yours is coming because you're going to buy your car soon. So just flip that, right? So I try to put the analogy out there. But yes, to your point, that's the second takeaway from me. Let me know when it's 5 minutes.
It is already.
Thank you.
Quick one, Latifa. You're also an immigrant professional who has built a career within the government. Right? What are some of the invincible rules you wish someone told you earlier that you were not told? That you know now?
That it is about working smart, not hard. That trying to be the smartest in the room, building the credentials, building that the academic is one thing, but building the right relationships, networking is actually the key to success.
Now we speak about networking too often. I don't want to overflow networking, right? So let's leave networking out of this conversation. Okay. Every serious professional that needs growth know they need to get out of their shell to go network. Now, apart from networking, right? How do you actually network with the right people? I know I asked that question. Bridge is a fellow professor in the industry. Patrick is a fellow professor. We all give lectures. We're all partly consultants, but we've not networked enough to develop critical mass to take other by storm. Patrick still does his own little thing, his own little corner, is a champion. I do my own thing, I'm a champion, Bridge is a champion. How do we actually network to gain critical mass? That is the question.
That's a deep question. I think it's a matter of finding the system and the ecosystem of living accounts. I think you're right. I think it's a matter of always you and an individual understanding where you're coming from and where you want to go. So always, first of all, is you and your North Star. So what is the objective? Where do you want to get in your career and your path, right? And the environment you're in, right? So I'm automatically it's about culture. So I won't touch into that right now, but it is also, so as once you have your North Star, it is about trying to unpack now the system around you, right? You cannot go look for, there's so many unknowns, known unknowns and unknowns, right? It's about in your ecosystem, trying to understand if there is a group, if there's an association you could get into, if there's some like-minded people who have the same interest as you in project management. In fact, that's what got me close to PMI, because as I was in university, I was part of the PMI student chapter. And then slowly, building those key contacts that led me, to the next group, to the next association, and now you and I that had the opportunity to, even speak like internationally about the same topic with like-minded people that's more global. So it is about starting somewhere and taking those baby steps, taking those chances. Now they may be through like your path, maybe some unlearning to be done, right? You might tap into a door that might not be the right one for you, and I think that's fine. Okay, so again, stepping back and trying to build it slowly, baby steps, one at a time.
Now, Latifa says stepping back and trying to build baby steps, one at a time. This morning I was listening to an audio book, No Excuses. My wife has had that book for a while. And I decided, okay, let me go see what this book that's carrying about this. They have an audio call. And something the author said struck me. He said he was training someone. And the person said, oh no, Tracy, your formula only works for 2 years. After 2 years, it stops working. And the guy asked, why do you say that? And he said, because I used it for 2 years and it worked. And after 2 years, I stopped earning income. And Tracy asked him, what did you stop doing? And he was like, and I asked him again, do you still attend conferences? What were you doing in the past? He's like, no, I attended conferences, I read books, I listened to podcasts, I did it regularly. So what changed? He said, I actually stopped attending conferences because I felt I'd grown enough, I started making enough, and I stopped sustaining. That brings me to my next question, reinvention. Everyone seated in this room has had to reinvent themselves over time, over and over again, whether on the job, whether out of the job. Tell me something. What is the hardest part about reinvention that no one talks about? I know recently you worked in an industry that you were not really proud of, but you did good work within that industry, right? So you had to reinvent the way you introduced yourself. What is the greatest part about reinvention as immigrant professional that no one talks about? Again, I'm trying to prevent the phrase no one talks about because ChatGPT uses that phrase a lot. And this is not ChatGPT conversation. But what is the hardest part about reinvention that no one talks about from your personal perspective?
That's a deep one because I don't know if it's part or parts, right? It's plural, but for the constraints of time, I would start with being true to yourself in terms of what you're having to unlearn what you might have learned all your life until you leave the shores of your comfort zone, country, or continent. For example, in terms of communication skills are way different in Canada from back home in Nigeria. And I have a couple of very beautiful, lovely ladies of Nigerian descent in here. And they can tell you that back home Nigerians, that they all look like they are ready to win arguments back home. Right? Like I'm right. Like I can see it, I'm right. Like what I'm talking about, it's not right or wrong, but there's the kind of confidence that comes with like all of that. And you come to a place where you really have to stoop to conquer. Yeah, I think it's really a lot to deal with. And apologies for those that think I was going to go the professional route, but I'd go with the soft skill route because that's the cradle amongst which every other thing can stand on. So for me, I think really having to face that reality, like you have to really unlearn a lot of things. You really have to not be the loudest voice in the room sometimes, right? And then having to absorb a couple of things sometimes, having to deal with being that unique person in the room, sometimes the only person of color in the room, as against you were one of 200 million people where you came from, right? It's a lot to deal with. So for me, I'd say the biggest part is really having to unlearn a lot of things that we have learned, really coming into this phase. So I think I could just talk about it up because it's a long conversation in itself.
You needed to unlearn. In unlearning, Latifa, does it mean losing some part of you? Because I'm also needing to unlearn the part where I always think I'm the smartest.
Wait. So I don't think it's about losing yourself. I don't think it's about changing who you are fundamentally and your values and your background, but it's about the skill of adaptability.
Yes.
Okay, and then so it's about you as a human and your ability to adapt based on your value system. But it's also about, I think you mentioned it earlier to me, and it's about understanding the system you're in, understanding the style, understanding the culture, the environment, the leadership you're working in. You can take it at work or even like outside of work. So once you understand, it is a matter to adapt the language to make sure that your message is actually been understood by your interlocutor, right? Now, some people do choose the path of being a different person, and that's a separate story. But I think fundamentally for me, if I think about my background, it's not about losing myself, but it's been a journey of growth in the sense of how do I get my message through, because I'm true to myself, and if I need to stay true to myself, then these are my principles, and I'm not gonna change them. How do I convey the message in the most effective way so I get the result that I'm looking for?
The healthy truth about global success. What is the hardest truth about building a global career that nobody wants to about? From your own perspective, Denison. I hear a lot, Charles, slow down. And I'm like, they don't know me yet in Kuwait. They don't know me yet in Saudi Arabia that much. That's a trap for me. Because I keep hearing slow down, you're known. And I'm like, no. I'm not known how I want to be known globally. For me, again, that's another trap. Denison.
Yeah, so I think if
Is it even worth it? Is it worth it?
I mean, I think naturally, as far as you have life, it's you don't have a choice. I mean, what else would you rather do if you were a local champion where you came from, you moved here to Canada, and then you're revered? What else would you rather be? Especially with globalization, technology, it's inevitable to really be known, especially if you are one that you're a fountain of value. I think everyone really that needs help will gravitate towards you in that sphere. So, in terms of that global success, I would say if you're value driven, that already occurs. For example, I've met people at events where their names went before them. From my perspective, I've been at events where my name went before me in those kind of places. So that's I call that a a kind of complementary byproduct of the hard work that you put in when you're good at what you do or you strive to be great at what you do. Now, in terms of the part no one really tells you about, for me, it's about the how to really sieve this signal from the noise relative to your core essence, right? So now we're talking about maybe nobody knows you in so country yet. Is it that nobody knows? Do you want everybody to know you, or do you want those that would appreciate what you bring to know you? Right? So it's about being able to sieve that signal from the noise. And I think in the last year or two, by asking questions, having conversations with fellow professionals, I think there have been a couple of strategies I've been picking up along the way to be able to better tailor what events will be not really worth my time, but would align with my trajectory, what events wouldn't, regardless of how lucrative the packages might be, right? So I think that's one. Because if I found out if I'm everywhere at the end of the day, I'm nowhere. So I think that's just a major part for me.
Diversity. I hear this all the time. Bring your natural self to work. In a global career setting, can you actually bring your natural self to work? What is the role diversity plays in a global career setting? What does diversity do for you as an individual? Do you leverage diversity as a card, or should we leverage diversity as a card?
I would say yes and no, and I think it goes back to my, going globally versus staying nationally. It's again just spreading the system, being out there even more. So sometimes that diversity could be like, depending on where you're looking at in the globe, could be like something that it's easier for you if you go closer to, I go closer to Africa, for example, for myself. Then I understand the culture, I understand, so it's easier to fit in and that convey those messages. And sometimes, yeah, it's about going back to the understanding the where you're heading, where you want to, representing and understanding the ecosystem you're going into, and how, again, going back to that communicating the message. So it could be a challenge, but it could also be something that adds positive in the way you are trying to convey the messages.
Okay, let's go to something that is mainstream right now, artificial intelligence and how it affects us as career professionals. I was speaking to a friend yesterday and he said something that he's been trying to build his website for years. He's paid developers and he's paid someone to build a website, and no one has built a website to satisfy him. And he has zero coding knowledge. But in the last weekend, he spent the entire weekend building a fully functional website that he deployed. To his satisfaction, he built from scratch with zero knowledge, right? So in a global career setting, artificial intelligence becomes a leveler, what then becomes a competitive advantage? It's a question.
Oh.
If we all have artificial intelligence, I can claim to be a business analyst like Vivian, right? All I can do is go to the GPT store, ask Patrick, can you please create a GPT for me? And he creates a GPT.
Yeah.
And overnight, I'm an expert. What is Patrick's competitive advantage going forward in a global career setting?
Your social skills, your ability to build relationships, your ability to build credibility, okay, your ability to, as Temison's point earlier, that your name is out there before they see you, okay, and it's your ability to tap into exactly being smart about and not hard. So remember, like the work smart, not hard, about tapping in the right channels and the right conferences and being in the right place at the right time. So beyond the technical skills.
Yeah, I think
Temison, you want to add to that?
yeah, I'd say in addition to all of that, it serves as like an augmentation piece, right? To like, okay, this is what I can do. Does it save me time? Like talk about systems, right? Does it help improve my productivity based on systems? And does it help amplify my identity, like what I stand for, and all of that? So I'd give a quick nuance and shameless plug. That's my wife's website, right? So again, shameless plug. If you're stuck at work, employment law, whatever, like she'll rescue you. Now we talked about the website, and I'm like the AI person talking and all of that, and I don't know. I just see her like not sleeping, and what happens? Oh, this cloud stuff, whatever. I think I can really get what I want out of my head on my website, and I'm like, I'm the AI person in the house. Don't worry. When you need help, let me know. Now I'm the name known globally, but I can't do a better website than she does now. Our website is so interactive, and there's always something to add. Now you click on the place, it goes to the person's WhatsApp, and it even writes the prompt for you in your WhatsApp page in terms of I need help with. So just fill it out. She has all those like amazing stuff.
Zero knowledge about coding and the rest.
Yeah, yes, she has zero knowledge. But what I find now is like now she's beginning to understand the nuances behind it, right? So it's really amplifies her personality. Oh, I want it this way because I want it that way because. So for me, it's like it's amazing to see, and that's just one of the use cases, right? I've seen like a couple of friends and colleagues do amazing things with artificial intelligence, right? So for me, it's in addition to using that to find yourself, also the augmentation piece.
Okay. I digress a little. Every career has a defining moment, something that almost ended your career before it started. For me, I'll give an example. Was when I was working at Cornwall. I don't know what happened. A client said, I don't want Charles on my project, just like that. And that was the biggest client that organization had. When you wake up in the morning and there's an email blast in the intranet saying Charles has been removed as the PM for this project, and you're asking yourself, what did I do? I'm not the first person that was removed from a project, so why is my own case different? And there's an email round saying you're no longer on the project. That was defining. I went to the toilet. I cried a lot. I cried a little. I went out and I'm like, I'm done. Biggest client does not want you, you are done. Now, that did not make it to my CV. For most career professionals, we've got lots of stories that do not make it into a CV, but define us going forward. Either makes us more humble, makes us more human, makes us more braggadocious, something that defines us. What was that for you, Latifa?
Something that
almost defined your career, changed the way you looked at work as an immigrant professional. Did you feel targeted? What happened? For me, it was, we don't want you on this project. No reason was given just because I smiled a lot. It was defining for me.
Yeah. So I think it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. I think it took me a while when we start working and we're an immigrant here and I don't know that we don't have, and that's the power actually of this community today, is that I didn't know better. Okay, so I wanted to be the smartest in the room. I'm like by trade like a project manager. I wanted to make it in a PMO. I wanted to be senior project manager, and I got intimidated by the senior ones because I was just a junior. So I worked an average probably twice more, and I'm a female too, twice more just to prove that I was actually a good project manager. And when came the time over the years to do my performance evaluation, with all the extra work, all the 60, 70 hours, I just get, you've met the expectations. Like, what do you mean I met expectations? All the hours that I've put in and all the results that I've achieved? And I think that was a defining moment for me, because I then met with my leader, said, what's going on? Why did you just give me salad? You realize like all the work, this transformation wouldn't have happened? Oh yeah, let's see. It is what it is, okay? So I think Macron really, so that's how the system thinks. Okay, so we're gonna change the rules. And I think that's the moment I was really, really, I think, like, yeah, a big moment, aha moment for me, which is about, okay, well, it's not about the number of hours you put in. Okay, it's not about, of course you need to meet your deadlines and deliver and work with others, but it's about how smart you are, like what relationships you build. Okay, how do you build trust that will get you actually the work? Okay, and that over years and over time, I was still performing, okay, but and I was truly actually working less. Okay, so that changed my view on things.
I'll tell you another aha moment. As she was saying so, my head was spinning. Things are coming to you. I recently learned that in my current organization, I may never make a 5 in my appraisal. And I'm a 5. I'm a strong 5, or I think I'm a strong 5. But I learned I may never make a 5. I've made a 4 for the last 2 years, and I've always queried. Why do I make a 4? And that has affected the way I look at work. That's affected how many committees I have decided to be part of. In the past, I mean, every committee, DEI, social club, you will find in nearly every committee, but I realized I may never make it. Why? There were reasons given, and of course, the reasons made sense to me. But it has redefined the way I show up and turn up at work.
Exactly.
Don't kill yourself. You will end here. Now, for immigrant professionals, how does that affect you? If you do not name it, you carry over some of these things at home. Now, let's again, I've put this conversation as personal. Let me go a little bit personal. My wife is here. She says, so why are you always angry? Because I'm nearly always angry. I notice, and she's nearly always the person that bears the brunt of my shots. But I was never able to define or name the source of my shortness. It was not related to her. It was related to this unsatisfaction, knowing that even if I literally kill myself, I won't get it fired. And guess what? Unfortunately for me, I say this unfortunately, work is my happy place. Work is my release. Work does not talk back at me. No. That is my happy place. If I can't give value fully at my happy place and get seen and get appreciated, what next do I do, Denisa? What is my escape? Because that is the question many of us here are asking. We know we can do more. We set ourselves up to do more. We get certified. I told Patrick, I have never had any job based on my certification or my qualification. No one has asked me in Canada to show my certification for any job. No, I've not. And then I'm here asking myself, you got X, Y, Z, and nobody has asked you for it. I'm going to be honest, that is painful. It is very painful. Maybe that is why we see lots, you will hear the angry black man. We're not angry, no. We feel not seen. Tell me something. How do we break this cycle? Guess what? I'm writing another certification exam on the 30th. But for the first time, I have not read. I have opened 0 pages. I'm saying, why are you wasting your time? Because I know this thing like the back of my mind, but I need that certification to show the bragging rights. So now I'm not reading, and I stand the chance of failing because it's happened to me. Tell me something.
Yeah, so I think it's naming it, which you rightly did. Work is your happy place, and when it doesn't meet your expectations, then all the venting and all of that. Similar experience happened to me early on as well, and then I didn't even name it. My wife didn't and said, "You realize you were happier before you got this job." Yeah, she just told me. I just walked off, and I mean, it really got to me because I always thought like I'm like the best husband in the world. No shit, Charles, but like, yeah. And then I woke up the next day, and then I resigned. Yeah, I resigned. And they were like, "Hey, you have to put your 2 weeks notice or your back pay." I'm like, "Take it." Yeah, I resigned, right? I just told her I do have savings for a couple of months, yes. And then, but the point I'm saying is, it's like that's also made it easier for me, but I still would have done it because many a time outside of the professional side, I've come from nothing many times and beaten that. So that's not even something I really. It's a big part of it, but when you have community and you see people that have navigated some situations, you understand that you are never really alone at the end of the day, right? We have little tons of private conversations, and then I can say that I can never be alone, right? I have if a brother here in the midst I've known since our parents were secondary school mates, we were university mates, our daughters now go on play dates, so we can never be alone. That's the power of like naming it and then knowing like, okay, if I walk out of this, I might need help. That's the power of the community. And I parlay it to you talked about you really like to work, but you might not make a 5. That's also where volunteering comes in. Because that's still work, but then you're actually giving value to people that appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then you will not just be a 5, you will always be 100 in their eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
This is where we clap if this was scripted.
Okay. So that's it.
Volunteering. What pays you your daily bread may not satisfy you.
Yeah.
Know this and know peace. I didn't know this up until recently, to be honest. Because I always look for satisfaction from my work, right? There are times I get paid and I'm angry. And my wife is like, why are you vexed? That is, why are you angry? And I'm like, why are they paying me for doing nothing? But then, realistically, this is me claiming no one sees me for my certification. This is still me. Claim you're being paid and you're claiming you're angry because you feel you're not doing the job or you're getting free pay. I'm learning to take the free pay, in quotes, and look for where to transfer that value. Just like Denisa said, you may not get value from where it pays you. Look for something else to create that value. Latifa, people always assume that we have no fears. Successful leaders have no fears. How do you do the things you do? You're always positive. You're always smiling. I was taken out of a project because I was always smiling. How do we show our vulnerability as leaders? What is your greatest strength, your superpower as a leader that leans into your vulnerability? And how does this, I know I'm asking too many questions. What is your super strength as a leader?
Yeah.
Because they assume we've got no fears, we've got it all figured out,
Yeah.
right? They see social media, and that's what they see. And because of that, someone assumes you're superhuman. How do you?
I think it's okay, bringing it back to social skills. It's the ability to be humble, the humility, accepting that where you're wrong, like mentioning it when you feel like you've misspoken to someone, okay? Admitting it, acknowledging it, apologizing. I think that's, yeah, I could summarize it.
It's your biggest regret, Denisa?
Oh, the regret is it's always ongoing because whenever I learn something that could have served me properly 5 years ago, I always be like, I wish I knew this 5 years ago. And then the wife is always like, well, you can never know what you never knew, right? So, and also, I'm a big learner.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for one of the greatest men I know. Now, the beauty about this life effect is someone can just walk in and the audience sees this lovely suit. Now, if you do not know him, he is a global authority in project management. If you heard of the likes of Jeff People, he stands shoulder to shoulder with Jeff People. If you heard of the likes of Brent Flywood, he stands Brent shoulder to shoulder with Brent Flywood. This is our own authority in project management as a Black immigrant. Prof, you came late, eh? It's okay, so we'll pepper you with some.
I'm messed up.
We'll pepper you with some questions. Messing up is allowed. I'll let you catch your breath, then I'll come back to you because I know you've got lots of international projects in Benin. You do some work with the Project Management Institute. You do some work with lots of organizations in Africa and globally. I'll come to you in a bit. Before you walked on stage, I was asking Emisa what is his greatest regret as an immigrant professional. Emisa, what is your greatest regret as an immigrant professional in a global workforce?
Yeah, I think you forgot I already answered that, right? I said, yeah, I said like really just for me, it's always like not knowing what I know today earlier. It's always that. I think it just comes from the mindset of, like Latifa said, humility, that whether you like it or yes, you will learn to be humble when you're in this part. And then you will understand there are things you need to learn and know. And for me, I try to position myself more in situations where I get to learn and take in as much information so I don't feel as bad going forward, right? So that's it for me. But if I could piggyback a little, I really love the question you asked, Latifa, right? About the fears, like we're not superhuman and stuff, right? And I think for me, there's something came to my mind, which is like, do your best to be careful who you trust going forward, which is the fact that we could be vulnerable using your words, but choosing who we are vulnerable to, more so as immigrants, because sometimes that vulnerability can come off as like, you know what, I said it, they didn't know what they were doing, as validation from the wrong ones. So that's also why community helps. Some days you feel down. That's why we're here to be like, hey, no, they told you that at work, but I know that you are better than that. And if I can tell you that, then you would believe me, not the other person. So I just thought to add that.
Prof, it's your time in the hot seat. My question for you has to do with systemic barrier, because I know you've experienced one, because I've been in situations where I felt that you were systemic discriminated against. I've been in such situations and I spoke up to say, Prof, I don't think this is right. It was not obvious to you because you were not looking. Maybe it was not obvious to you because you're used to these nuances and you know how to identify them and shake them off. Prof, many of us complain of being discriminated against. How do we genuinely differentiate between systemic barriers and barriers that exist culturally? Now, there are cultural barriers based on the organization, and there is systemic barrier based on your color that talks about nepotism, sexism, all of those things.
Yeah. So first of all, so I'm sorry I'm late. I'm also jet lagged. So I just came back from a trip to Norway and then Senegal, and I'm messed up. So I thought my session was starting in one hour time. Okay, so, but I was daydreaming. Until I got the call from Charles saying, "Prof, what are you?" Okay, so here I am. So I ran to be here. yes, so these barriers that do exist. And you need to do something about it, and sometimes you can't do much about it. Okay, and that's the strange part of it, because these are things that are external to you that you don't control. And my take is that I tend to focus on things that I control, not the things that I can't control. Okay, because as an individual, we are limited in our agency. Although we would like our agency to do many stuff for us, we are limited. It's just a power issue. To me, it's just a power issue. It boils down to a power challenge. So for me, yes, I've been a victim of discrimination a number of times. So let me give you an example. I remember at the University of Quebec at Hull, the other side of the river, one of my colleagues, he gathered about 8 or so of our colleagues and said, this little one is coming from Benin Republic, and is there a university there? This one is not going to be able to succeed to get a PhD done. Okay, so and then I went to his office and then said, basically, I know the kind of nonsense that you're saying about me. You gotta stop it, because I can play that game as well. I can play that game as well. I know a lot of shit about you. Okay? So stop the nonsense. Okay? So yes, sometimes you can react like that, but in most cases, you are just limited power-wise. So my advice, take it cool, calm down, take a deep breath, and then ask yourself, why is it that you are here?
Question. Were some of these systemic barriers caused by you unknowingly without knowing? I'll give you an example why I asked the question. I speak with my hands, you know me, right? And I speak passionately and loudly.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been accused a lot of time of being, why are you so angry when you're speaking? Yeah. And I'm like, no, that is not passion, right? I've been accused over that, Charles, we really need to come to you when you're calm, because you get really passionate and it tends to want to consume us. Yes. That is a bias, but I didn't know. I was volunteer at PMI for the longest of time. I was de facto knowledge bank. Everyone came to me for questions. But it was because they didn't have an option. How do I know that? When Teresa came on board, this young man, everyone defaulted to him. And when even the people that were my people, when I mean my people that were my mentees, they go to Teresa first before they come to me. And guess what? All of these were my blind spot that was affecting me in my office also. Because if it affects you somewhere, it affects you elsewhere. I did not know. And why was this? If you come to me with a question, in my mind, if the question is too simplistic, I won't give you an answer. I will refer you back to the question. So I was not seen as a problem solver. I was seen as the mirror that lets you see what you're missing, but would not provide the answer. So somehow, when they have these conversations, leadership conversations, oh no, leave Charles. Charles is a delivery specialist. He will burn his team to the ground with his drive. That was a bias. So sometimes, Prof, how do we recognize our own personal excellence that comes across as bias?
That's a difficult one. Okay, a very difficult one, because you see, we all have our own strengths. But what we perceive as strength might not be perceived as a strength by others. Because culture is a software, as I say. So if you don't get the software or you can't decode it, then you're missing vital information. So the only way you can get there is through having a mentor. Okay? A mentor that will tell you that this is not the way things work here. Mentors or friends that will give you feedback. Or sometimes boxes that will tell you that Charles, you're quite agitated. Calm down. Okay? Okay, calm down. No need. It does not work here. We're not in Nigeria here. Okay? So, yes, but this kind of frank conversation can always happen, can only happen in a space that is, let us say, more or less comfortable for you and the other in front of you. But these are difficult conversations, even for people that are not, coming from Africa or the rest of the world, or people that are born here, So I'm trying to avoid the so-called category white people, because not necessarily always as descriptive and as meaningful as it should be. What does the white people mean? What do the black people mean? So you see, it needs to be, this conversation needs to happen in a space where both you and the other are comfortable, which is the most difficult to achieve. So you get into this space when you become kind of real friends to some extent. And I can trust you and you can trust me. So that's the most difficult barrier.
So what I hear you say is part of the keys to unlocking global career acceleration is getting a mentor.
Yes. Because a mentor will tell you, Charles, this way of behaving does not work here. Here, let me explain you why. Or, what you have done is great, but you can do better.
Thank you, Prof, for that. Now, that is part of the reason why CI3 exists. Intentionally, there are 16 mentors signed up for today. Intentionally, it is kept at a maximum of 40. Fortunately, we sold out more than 40. We're having more than 40 people at 130. That is not my ideal plan. I want to keep this intentional. Professor Lavanyon is not someone you can easily meet because of his busy schedule, but you've got time to plug into his network today. The same thing with Mayo, the same thing with Chio, the same thing with Patrick. That is what this is about. To get ahead, let's talk about sponsorship. Because what Prof said, he talked about look for a mentor. But when he said look for a mentor, he didn't say look for a mentor external to your organization. No. That mentor needs to be within your organization, because he goes to the cafeterias where they gossip. Yeah. Yes. Not Charles. I don't work in your organization. The mentor probably lives around the same location where your office is. He's able to mirror you. Get a mentor. Now, Latifa, let's talk about sponsorship. Mentorship. Getting a mentor is almost the same thing as sponsorship. No one climbs in an organization without a sponsor. Not a mentor. You can have a mentor and that's it. A mentor is totally different from a sponsor. What is the role of sponsorship in accelerating your global career? I'll give you an example. When I wanted to go to Saudi for the first time, they've not heard about me in Saudi. I applied. No one accepted my application. I knew someone had been to Saudi before that, taken Saudi by storm. They all loved her. I reached out to her. She knows me. I say, hey, babe, can I? And she's like, yeah, I've got 2 slots. I'll give up 1 for you. That was how I got my first speaking gig in Saudi. So she was not a mentor. She was a sponsor that unlocked that door. What is the role of sponsorship in career acceleration? And how do we go about looking for the right, not mentor now, the right sponsor? Prof, I'll come to you with this question and listen to it because of this. How do we locate the right sponsor within an organization? That's fine.
I think it goes back to what I was a point or an element I talked about earlier, which is like finding those like-minded people, the people who can understand and see like their values, your North Star, where you're heading, and who are willing not only to maybe be a mentor, a coach to you, but help you grow within that organization. It's built with building trust. Okay. You'll need credibility also. Like credibility always follows you. So if we talk about, international, I think that's one that can help tremendously. And it is, again, there's no, like, I think, magic recipe to it other than being with people around you who have also access to those networks, to those conferences, who can refer you right to the right sponsors and to help you unlock and grow together. And again, going back to the importance of community building and being surrounded with the people who has the same aspirations.
Thomas, you're with the camera. If you could please pan to Bridge. Bridge is an international author. He recently wrote a book, Bridging Generations. And I deliberately mentioned Bridge because this conversation is actually important. And the work he has written directly ties into how to create visibility globally. I know Bridge was a consultant in the UAE. He worked there for years, and now he's here. So, s'il vous plaît is French, but please do not leave this room with just a LinkedIn conversation. That is not it. I want to see Vivian get into something with Bridge and say, Charles, how do we create community and come together and do something that moves just one person? It doesn't have to be everybody. Vivian is set to a certain level. Mayo is good to a certain level. What she does right now is, how do I get others to a place of financial stability? How do I get them their dream homes, right? But we need those relationships to be deliberate and personal. It needs to transcend from mentorship to sponsorship. And to get someone to sponsor you, you must smell nice. You must look nice. Why do I say that? Patrick may have just one get out of jail card. He may have just one job to refer someone to, and 10 people come to him. What will make Patrick settle for mayor instead of Ezenwa? Because we're not there to advocate for ourselves. It is our work, our fragrance that goes ahead of us. So the question for us again, Prof, how do we develop that sweet smelling fragrance that enables someone to decide to stick out their neck for us and say, I'm going to open this door for Charles. It doesn't matter, I will open this door. That doesn't come easy. No. How do we get someone to make that commitment on our behalf?
You know, sometimes it comes by chance. It comes by accident. Okay? You have not done much to deserve it, but that's how it is, because, you know, human beings are all about chemistry. So if the chemistry is natural and the bond is natural, then these things emerge naturally as well. Okay, you're not even aware of the sacrifices or the investment that you have made, but it does emerge naturally. But that's not, you know, the gist of the question you're asking, because if you have not done much to deserve it, then you know, there is no recipe that we can replicate in different situations. So I can tell you about what I do. The first thing, I focus on my own asset.
Focus on your own asset.
That's the first thing that you need to build upon. So, and that speaks to what you were saying, credibility. Okay, but before credibility, you need an asset.
Yes.
Okay, so what is the thing that you are bringing up?
Yeah.
What are you bringing up to the table? So if you go into a sponsor or a mentor empty hands, then why am I going to waste my time with you? Okay, so there are, like you said, you know, the guy if there is a job there to recommend somebody for, and the guy has already 10 people lying. Okay, there. So, you know, why would he choose you and not the 9 others? Okay, so the way I do that, first thing, asset. Showcase something. In my case, you know, let me give you a concrete example in academia. You might translate that into the professional world. At you know, in the early stage of my career, I was a lonely scholar. Lonely scholar meaning what? I would design my own research project, think about it myself, you know, write the storyline, which we call theoretical contribution. Okay, write the storyline, so that's the end message of the paper, and then collect the data, do the whole stuff by my own. Okay? Thinking about it by my own. That's a lonely scholar. But I realized that it's not going to work in the long run.
Mhm.
So I needed to do something different to make a move. So I would write the whole paper to showcase something, and then I'm going to say to a well-established scholar, the star, that look at this. There is a kernel of a contribution there. I read your older stuff. You might be interested in that. So that's how I sell it.
Mm. We got to repeat that for emphasis. In economics, I think it's called marginal law of marginality, where you're able to add marginal value, either tangentially to everything you come across, right? Now, when you show contribution, we are in a world that is very transactional. I want to do for you, so you do for me, right? But in marginal utility, you're not looking at transactional value. You're looking at translational value. What can I do for Patrick that would enable Patrick to do more for whoever Patrick is serving? I don't need to get nothing from Patrick. That is the kind of contribution he's talking about. How do you show value when you need nothing in return from someone? The Prof said, I'll look at a fellow star. Do some work based on what the star has done and say, hey, there is something here for us to probably collaborate on. You do not come to the table empty-handed. Everyone has something they have on the table. So for you to unlock that global career, what are you bringing to the table? Let me give you an example quickly using myself, and I'll come to Temisa. Every 2 months, every other month, I do a global webinar for PMI Global. That is free, not paid. It takes me hours to put together the material and to set up the webinar. That is how I add value to my community. But trust me, every single time I have had those webinars, there has been a lead from that webinar. Every single time. There's been money that's been added to my account based on that webinar, not directly. Charles, can you come do a training for us? I love that training. Or I love the webinar you gave. Can you come do the same thing for my organization? That is the value I bring to my community. And that value is putting money in my pocket. Whether it's $1, whether it's $2, there is no week, not a month, no week that I do not do a training that gives me whether it's $100 for the day. Where did these links come from? I knew as an immigrant professional, no one would give me a platform because I came here late. I got to this country 6 years ago. If you want to build that platform, like Prof said, look for value. It is scattered everywhere around us. Temisa, how did you get to author a paper, a research for PMI Global from Ottawa without going anywhere? That is an example of global influence. Give us a practical example, Temisa.
Yeah, so again, it's about the quest to learn. It was a Sunday after church, I was idle, and for some reason, I just went to the PMI website and I was asking myself, I should be resting. What was this PMI stuff, right? But for some reason, I go to a page, and I can't even tell you how I got to that page now, if you ask me. And then I see like the research, yeah, Thomas, I'm sure you know the page, right? Where they have all those research stuff. And then I see this AI in project management, research stuff, global back project. And I see the names of the key folks there. And there was no one from North America. So I sent an email. I'm like, okay, if it's a global project, but there's no North American representative, is it that you have North American, maybe project team members and there's no lead from there? Otherwise, I'm interested to be that too as well. It's a great project. I think I could contribute. And I didn't think I was going to hear back. And within the hour, I got an email and they were like, thanks for reaching out because we didn't get any interest from anyone across North America. Wow, right? So that means in the whole of North America, they had actually earlier on put out this request, and there was no one got back to them across North America. So they were like, yeah, they'll be happy to have me, and then it's on the paperwork and all of that. And they were about to kick off the next day. And based off the timeline and everything, that was like 3 a.m. our time. And then, good thing, we really don't sleep early. So I knew he'll be up. But they needed someone, a fellow like PMI member, to sign off to vet that. I'm a volunteer. So I called him up. He was up. Like, hey, I need this. He said, don't explain. Just give it to me. What do you want done? Don't need to explain. Just give me tell me where to sign. And within the hour, yeah, Charles knocked the signatures off for me. And that was it. And then I go in there, and then everyone's talking, and they're nodding. There's this PhD guy in machine learning, rambling about the code and stuff. And I'm nodding, asking myself, like, okay, what am I doing here? And I'm smiling and everything. And then it's all just went back to, how do I add value to this conversation? For a start, like, I'm representing the whole of North America right now. It can't be a good look if I don't know what I'm doing here. And then I asked at the end of the meeting, like, so what are the action points take away from this meeting? And then the funniest thing happened. Everyone was rambling and no one knew what they were really saying. So there was no action point anyone could touch on concrete, right? And then we spent some time and started to break it down. What did you mean by this? What did you mean by that? And that question kind of broke the ice. And suddenly the trust just kind of came. And that project went on till we were in Atlanta for the PMI Global Summit, going there to have a great time. And then the guru machine learning guy, the guy pulls out from the project. Now we have no one to analyze over 2,000 responses from like global recipients. And I'm like, so who can take on this? I was like, sure, I can. I've never done that before. So while people were having drinks after the meeting at night, I was learning data analysis in 10 minutes from YouTube about SQL and Python. But then I knocked it off, right, with SQL and Python. And it now came off as team lead North America, data analyst of the project for this global stuff. So suddenly, once the project came off, and I think till date it's still the most cited paper in the PMJ, right? And the project management follow-up webinar we did, I think it's still the third most viewed right now, still in the projectmanagement.com. And suddenly I'm being in places I don't know what I'm doing there because they think I'm this AI back-end coding stuff. So thankfully I've been able to wing it without embarrassing myself. Right? But all that to say is that I looked for the gaps, right, in where I figured I could help or I know I would learn from as well. And now, just last week, we're all missing the nostalgia of the project. So now we're putting again a third part of the paper, right? So next week we have, because like a 1 year break, and then a lot of things have changed since that time and now. And we're trying to see what we can do. And yeah, so that's it. Just if you see gaps, yeah, you just ask, right? Again, to Latifa, the prof's point, really, what's that? And the team lead now, the project lead now became a sponsor for me too, more so an advocate, because she could see what she's advocating for me for in terms of the skills and the values that it bring. And that's also because I saw the gaps that she had where she needed help with, and I was able to really feel that. So I'd say, yeah, that's it for me.
Practical experience, he was curious. He went to and he found. Prof. Ika, the same question to you. How did a small black boy from Benin become a global authority? How do you get to author the PMI success report recently? How do you get to do work for United Nations? I'm looking at how did you get in? The minister told us I was curious. I looked for the information. I applied. I looked for someone to help me. Charles. So how did you get in? Is there a route? The reason I ask this question is we're all looking for recognition. We're all looking for visibility. But trust me, if you go online, there are lots of opportunities. My goodness. Volunteer opportunities, global volunteer opportunities. that will take you outside Canada, paid for, trust me, they are much. If you go looking. Chinyere here, she was former president or spokesperson for one of the executives for IBA, right? IBA. Even before we started talking about that in Ottawa, she was an authority. Vivian is the same thing. Before I got to Ottawa, she was an authority. How did they do it? Prof, how did you do it? Mario, I'll come to you with a question soon. I'll come to all of you because you're all here with your lived experiences. We've got 15 minutes. After I'm done with them, I'll come to all to take our lived experiences. Prof, how did you break it? How? I want to break it.
Yes. So, you know, I would tell you that it was the result of a long-standing effort. Okay, I don't have a direct connection to it, but yeah, I would say it's a result of a long-standing effort. To make a long story short, you know, I was putting out lots of papers, and you know, early on in my career, so wrote a paper on project success. So by the way, you know, I started the paper when I was doing my doctorate. It was one of the first assignments, you know, in the doctorate course on the philosophy of management, basically. So I authored the paper, and you know, the prof said, "Oh, this looks fantastic. You know, I enjoy it. You should publish something about it." Okay. So I sat down with it, and I was telling myself, how on earth will I be able to do that? Because I was not having much support from my supervisors. So basically I said, okay, so I'm gonna send that paper to a conference. So got the paper to a conference, got some feedback. Okay, so I went to Hawaii for the conference, got some feedback. I was not quite impressed by the feedback that I got, but you know, it is as good as you can get. So then I sat down on it for 4 years. It took me 4 years to finally be able to publish the paper in PMJ where they start publishing stuff. Then I did it alone. I told you I was a lonely scholar, right? So I did it alone. And then it became, you know, my most successful paper, my most cited paper ever. So right now it's been cited 1,700 times, which is impressive. Now, so I've done that, and you know, I've led many other papers, have made many other publications, and I was still not invited to the PMI academic insight. So I have colleagues, you know, colleagues of mine, including from Montreal and you know, other places in Canada. You know, so we go to conferences, we meet up, and then they will tell me, "Oh yes, you know, I'm a member of the PMI academic insight team." So I say, so I asked a friend of mine, Natalie, who happened to be a professor in Montreal. I said, Natalie, so how do I get into that committee? Tell you the whole truth. Natalie said, no, don't worry, you know, talk to that lady. And that lady was Heather Ramsey, who happened to be the head of the academic insight team at PMI. So I went to Heather, and then Heather said, yes, you know, I had you in my mind. Okay, so you know, I will tell you, you know, when there are options to apply. Okay, so I did apply to the PMI academic insight teams, and it was basically a formality because Heather wanted me anyway. So got the position there. So after a while, so I did deliver something within that committee. After a while, then Heather came back to me and then said, yes, you are right. We are not utilizing academics much at PMI. And that's a pity. So you guys have way more to offer. Then let us put together an initiative, and I want you to lead it. I said, why me? She said, you get on with, you know, you get on well with all the colleagues on board. They love you. And I'm quite sure if you were leading that initiative, everybody will back. Okay, then say, okay, yes, don't deal. Let us do that. What was the initiative about? The initiative was to engage the president of the PMI and make sure that you know, they engage academics way more. Okay, so that you know, we can turn the outputs of research into something more meaningful and relevant, and something that practitioners attending PMI Global Summit and so on could use. Then Pierre Lema was not available at the time. Guess what? I got to engage, Lenka, who happened to be the chief of staff of the president of PMI. So Lenka gave me, roughly 45 minutes. So we organized the work. So my colleagues, including people that have been on the academic side team for 20 years, and star professors that have been there since the 1990s or so. So they did work in subgroups, and I was the one presenting that work on behalf of the academic side team to Lenka. So then I showcased what academics could offer. So I did that, and I was not expecting any move from PMI, to tell you the whole truth, right? I did not believe that they will follow suit. Then I was sitting down, in my house, and then got the WhatsApp from an SMS from Heather saying basically, "Oh, my friend, I need you badly." Okay, what do you want, Heather? Okay, we need to talk. When are you available? So then we had a talk, and then she said, "You are the one that can help PMI engage in the most expensive research work that they have done in 55 years of it." Oh, that sounds neat. Okay, that sounds neat. What are you want? What are you going to research about? Oh, project success. Why me? No, you publish a lot on it, and you know how to talk to practitioners. Okay, and you don't take yourself too seriously. I guess you can. I guess you can do it. Okay, I guess you can do it. Okay, so bring it on. So that's how I got involved in PMI.
So two things that are important here. He was working without being seen, and he kept working without being seen. His work may not have been seen directly, but his work was seen because his name was known, but his face was not known. So you gotta keep grinding. That brings me to my next question, Latifa. If tomorrow you wake up, no title, no nothing, no credential, no degree, no nothing, what would you do differently if you need to start your career journey again? And what would you not waste time on?
What would I do?
What would you do differently?
I think goes back to so being clear again around my aspirations, and I think finding a mentor earlier on. Finding a mentor really to help me try and navigate the system. I think to Professor Ika about having the software, the decoding, the keys to decode the software. So no matter what that is, the workplace, volunteering, life, right? So I think that's something that could have helped me as an immigrant because of some of the barriers, because of the unknowns. It could have helped me probably learn faster.
As we round up, what would you do differently today if you had the chance to start all over again?
Yeah, so as Latifa touched on and Prof has touched on mentorship, I thought I was fortunate to do that early enough. But what I would add is that I will share as I learn. There's no perfect stage or perfect time, right? So a lot of times we feel like, okay, I don't know it yet, and I can't come out to speak at this event because I just got my PMP last week, or I haven't even. The process of getting it, some people want to learn about it. So I think for me, sharing as we learn is something I would do different. Yeah.
Thank you. Thomas, we're rounding up. I'm going to pan into the mentors. I'm just going to ask them one question. What would they do differently if they had to start their career afresh? The reason I'm calling on the mentors to answer this question is when we go to the leadership circle, the circles are fixed, right? The participants are fixed to circles, so they may not get a chance to enjoy the breadth and the depth of your expertise. I'll start from the front row. I'll go with Vivian, Bridge, Chiere, Mayo, Uche, Patrick, Thomas at the back, and I think Yenga, and that's it for the mentors we have here. The others are coming by 1:30. What would you do differently? For me, what would you do differently as a person, professionally, personally? What would you do differently that you want these folks to take away? Vivian.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself, please. Let them know who you. You stand up. Okay, yeah. Please stand so the camera can see
Yes,
you, if
yes.
you don't mind. That's the camera at home. We're streaming live. Everyone needs to see you. Yeah.
Perfect.
Face them, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian. Nice to meet you all. I'm a project manager with the City of Ottawa, and also I run multiple businesses. So for me, what I'll do differently, I remember before starting my career as a project manager, I wasn't sure what I wanted. So in life, I wanted to be a medical doctor. So I remember telling my dad, okay, I have to be a medical doctor. For some reason, back in Nigeria, I lost the admission. For some reason, I wasn't selected for biochemistry. Cried and cried, and then I saw my name in project management, and this was 2005 or 6. And what the hell is project management? In Nigeria, the department was new. So what is project management? I don't know what was that. I was crying. The only person that said, go ahead. Everybody said, quit. And I found myself in project management, stuff like that. So what I would do again in life is to be sure what I really want to do. I'm not being the project manager because Charles is a project manager, Mary is a project manager, or the career path or the niche I want to sell in because Mr. ABC is doing it. Do you really want to do it? That's the first question, the mindset. So they said, after that, a mentor who's going to help you through the journey. So you start from the right part, you start the right way. And finally, you share. I like that. I didn't think about sharing because maybe I would have, made the world a better place.
Yeah.
I usually learn and I keep.
Yourself.
Yes. I learn, I keep. Because I felt if you want me to share, you ask.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the mindset I have with this. So I've learned something to do, right? No matter what, as I'm learning, I'm sharing. And I think I will start sharing.
Bridge. Quickly. Go to the camera, state your name for the records.
For those who don't know me, my name is Bridge. That's the name I was born with. I came to Canada 40 years ago, landed in Toronto. Session, life is tough. I started a job. I came from higher education in Tanzania, where I was born. That's why me and Charles get along. We don't talk to each other too much. But we really have the same ambition. So 2 years later in Toronto, I teamed up with a partner and opened the Canadian Information Technology. Eventually 35, OSAP 35, Canada Student Loan 35. 10 years I ran it as an entrepreneur. And then the Chinese came, they wanted to buy me out, made a deal, and then I moved on in my career. I was registered in Alberta. I was a director of student services in Kingston, St. Lawrence College. And then the global career opened up. Because I was always on the move, headhunters approached me and said, we have a good opportunity in Abu Dhabi. I've never heard about Abu Dhabi in my life. I don't speak Arabic. And at that point, I said, hey, you know what? Okay, I'm okay. Okay, business class, I handed there.
I actually thought you were born in Dubai when I saw your Dubai connection.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I told my wife, I'll be gone for 3 months. The day before I left, I was supposed to go dinner by a friend. And after dinner, as we were walking out, I said, I want to tell you something. What is register He said, "You went for a long time." Long story short, I did a lot of things there, and then pre-COVID I came back, and I said, I am done with these full-time jobs. I gotta keep on. You know? So as I landed here, the Almighty was with me, and I got a good opportunity with the University of Waterloo, based in Ottawa as the regional head. And I said, okay, but again, full-time job. Not much you can do, you know, because other than I'm working 9 to 5, but then I started teaching at Algonquin. I got a position in project management. And how do I go to Algonquin at 4 o'clock when I'm supposed to be with Waterloo till 5 o'clock? So, sleep and go away. Sometimes I used to land at Algonquin, you know, and it's a long story. Before my class at 5, and do a meeting with Waterloo. But then, you know, 2025, I said, enough. That's when I did a pivot, and I said, I'm going to write a book. And my book was already in my mind, and I'm going to do a little page here. But it's
Go 1 minute more.
Yeah, it's generations. And it's a book about the whole workforce development and volunteering. Tells you really that in the workplace, you are going to find 4 to 5 generations working. How you work with these people, and that's my one message, work with the generations. Don't segregate yourself into Gen Z or Gen X or baby boomers, or I don't do this. Try to work with them. Your project teams, your workforce, your volunteering with that. So my book is available here if anybody wants it.
I have read some part of that. I seriously encourage you to get it on Amazon.
No, I have copies.
You have to. They have some copies here for you to sign, and yeah, I've read that book.
And it's at a
It is a
discount.
copy. I've got one. I've got one at home. Yeah, it is a book I think we should read. All right, so we're going to keep it flowing quickly. Chinyere, Mayo, Eze, Uche, Patrick, Thomas, Yenga, and then we go have fun at the leadership circle. That is where the magic happens.
Okay.
Chinyere.
So the question is, what
would you do differently? I know you. I know you. Before I came to Ottawa, I knew you. What would you do differently? Kevin, please come in. I want to get your thoughts too. I want to get your thoughts too, Kevin. Yeah. We're creating a family here, you know.
My name is Chinyere Mani. I'm a senior business systems analyst and a program manager as well in the healthcare space. And I would say, you know, when I've learned a lot from all of you today, and I would say that my only regret is that I didn't start earlier. When I came to Canada newly, being a very busy professional in Nigeria, I got here and I wanted to spend some time with my children. So I thought that with all my experience, once I just get here, I start looking for a job, just be like that. So I gave myself a few months to settle down, get to bond with my children. But when I now started to look for a job, it wasn't that easy. It wasn't coming. And but the first thing I did when I got here, before I got to Canada, I actually did research. Before I got here, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a business analyst, and I felt from our experience, I would be a business analyst, and my husband would be a project manager. And we kind of planned this, and we did that training back in Nigeria before we got here. And when I got here, what I did first was that I looked for IFBA, Ottawa, and I joined them. I went down, so I knew what I wanted. So I did the training back in Nigeria. When I got here, I looked for them. They were doing their study in downtown at the library, and I went there. And that's how I started volunteering. And 6 months later, I was nominated to join the board. That was how I started my journey. I didn't even think that when I was asked to join the board, I was like, me, what qualifications do I have? Because, you know, I had been looking for a job, and no, I didn't look for a job immediately, but when I started, it wasn't coming maybe my 5th month. So when I got the opportunity, I doubted myself, but I had a sponsor, Christina Apple. She was my sponsor, and she told me you can do this. And then I joined the board. So another thing I did was that when I passed my CBAB, I had this, I would say it was the Holy Spirit, because I believe in God. I was telling me that I should teach others. I should start training for free. Don't charge anything. That's your way of giving back to your community. And I was like, I can't do that. I haven't thought before. And I was just, all the excuses of why I can't do that was coming to my head. And then I said, okay, I was going to reach out to a few people that were really making headway in the industry then. I reached out to them. I said, I want to start this. I want to give back. I want to teach, help people that are trying to pass their exams to also pass, because I think I have a lot to give. And they were like, oh, great, that's great. And they supported me, and I started training classes. And then from those training, I was able, the first person, long story, quite.
You tell the story to your leadership
With the fact that, because what I want to bring out here is that sometimes I've met people. I invited someone here today, and the person said, I don't have money to take over this thing. And I know the first time I went downtown to join that study group, it was in winter. I took a bus, and I didn't really understand how harsh the winter here could be. And my jacket was really light. My husband can testify that day I came back, I was having this itching and rashes all over my body because I was in the cold. I was waiting for a bus for a long time. Some people are not willing to go the extra mile. All of us were driving big cars back home. But here, you take a bus, you take baby steps. Please don't this opportunity. For me, my regret is that I didn't start to back earlier. I didn't start on time, start that networking and all that, right? Yes, I had time to bond with my children, but I could have still done it at the same time. And one of the people that
Chinere, you got around the people that at least 6-7 mentors to speak.
Yeah, so one of the people that I was in my class was the person that introduced me, the person who helped me get my first. And that's what I want to round up.
She thought for free. She got a gift for teaching for free. Do not keep it for anything. All right, we're going to keep it very, very brief because we've got 10 more minutes before we start the leadership circle. Mayo, you're next. What would you do differently now? Call Izzy. Please come to the front so others can see.
I'm super good.
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say it's been amazing being with you, amazing people, and it's been a long time. I feel very connected with
Community.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Charles, for putting this together. My name is Maya, and I'm a real estate agent. If I were to do things differently, it would be two things. One, I studied engineering because, I did engineering, a lawyer, or a medical doctor, but I would, if I had the choice to decide what to do without societal influence and all that, it would have been something in entrepreneurship, or I would have aspired to have a PhD in psychology because I want to learn about people. I want to see through people. Because the success in entrepreneurship also comes with being able to speak to the psychology. Yeah. So once again,
apart from that, everything investing. Easy. Everyone, Uche, please come. Patrick, please come.
It's been a very delightful privilege to be here with you, and also I learned a lot of things. I was taking notes. I work in the tech space. I've been there for quite some time, but I developed a passion for helping people to achieve their goals. So that's what it means to speaking and coaching for professionals. In terms of what I would do differently, I think for me it would be more around getting help. I think I had this notion from Nigeria where if you ask for help, it means you're dumb or you don't know what to do. And like I found that, man, I really need to ask for help. Someone once said that a wise man learns from their own mistakes, but a genius learns from other people's mistakes. I don't have time to do all of the trial and error and make all the mistakes. How about I just go learn from other people? So I think I found mentorship, like you mentioned, very, very valuable. Thank you.
My colleague Ashulik is a genius.
Thank you very much. I want to echo Maya's sentiment. This has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed the dialogue, and what's really resonating with me is this paradox of the present that we have to break old mindsets to solve new problems, right? And I think that's that's really resonating with me is that if I was to start over my career, I would challenge those mindsets, challenge the status quo, challenge and have the confidence to do it. And I think early in my career, one of the challenges I had personally was that I didn't have the confidence, right? I would, as a business analyst, I would take, whatever the client gave me and then try to solve the problem, or I would take the problem, that the client gave me for project management and try to solve the problem, right? But I wouldn't challenge the mindset. And then one of the reasons why I got into business analysis was I was always asking why. Why do we have those constraints? Why are we having these objectives, right? And there was a much more interesting conversation than trying to solve the what, the who, the when, the where, and the how, and that sort of thing. So that's what I would do. I'd start over my career.
Like a pageant or something.
Because I listened to the question. Question is, if you woke up from sleep and you don't have your skills and all of that, anything,
what would you do?
I'll go back to sleep.
Straight. No, that's a good one.
Now,
Can we cut the mic? This guy wants to sleep.
so everything that everyone has said is what it is.
Volume, so they need to hear.
The first thing that I would tell myself if I would wake up without any skills and any experience is that I am enough. I am enough, right? I find that the biggest thing we struggle with is imposter syndrome. Yes, right? We all wake up, we know we can do some things, but sometimes you wonder, can I really do this? I'm enough. If I do it and I fail, guess what? Dust it up and start over again.
All right, what would I do if I wake up and I have nothing?
Yes.
I would listen. I find out that when you listen enough to people, you learn almost anything you want to learn about yourself and the people. So if you want to go far, if I want to go far and I have nothing, and I wake up this morning, I come into a meeting like this, I'll listen to everybody. The more I listen to them, the more I make notes. The more notes I make, the better I become at whatever it is I want to do.
Obed. I call Obed the money man. Dr. Obed.
I think one thing that I would have said to my younger self regarding this conversation is that I would try.
You would try.
Yes. I mean, the worst is that it's not going to work. The big guys that we all talk about, we all aspire to be, they all try. Take, our Facebook guy, for instance, there was a dormitory thing that happened, and now everybody is on it. HP started selling, in his dormitory. I'm talking about the computer HP. Started in his dormitory. They all started trying. So try. Like I said, worst case, it's not going to work, but you're going to learn from it, and you're going to get better. Thank you.
So hi everyone, what an amazing session. Like I was taking notes. So I'm an avid learner. My name is Yenga Benzio.
And it's such an honor to be here. And it shows the power of connection. Because I met Charles, I think it was last year, and I was speaking at a conference. And he said, sis, I want to do things with you. I say, yes, there was that chemistry. So listening to everybody here, what is one thing that I would do different is exactly what Uche was saying. You know, believing in yourself way earlier. Because in my career, I did a lot of things, and mostly it was people who saw it in me before I saw it in myself. So you want to sell yourself to people, but if you haven't sold yourself to yourself, how can people support you? How can people buy the vision if you yourself, you haven't even seen it and you haven't believed it? I remember I was at a very junior level. I had started with the government. And the manager at the time, I had been denied an opportunity. Like, you know, we talk of careers, we talk of all this discrimination. But coming from Africa, I didn't even know that there was racism. Because, I mean, all of us, we're Black, so I never, so every time I would have microaggressions and racism, I would say, this guy's having a bad day. I mean, so I never could imagine. It was years later that people were saying, actually, what you're going through, that is racism. And so this manager, she noted it. And she pulled me aside. She said, I have to treat you very well because one day you're going to be an executive and I'll come work for you. So I was working with National Defense and she's military. I'm like, so I was laughing because she was just kind of buying me lunch and making me feel good. Fast forward, I was in the executive ranks. And I reached out to her and said, the words that you say. So she saw in me something that I didn't see in myself. And we walk with greatness trapped inside us. And we don't see it. But yet you want somebody else to come and validate it. You know, when they say self-esteem, it needs to come from inside yourself. But you want somebody else to esteem you. That's what I was doing.
Again, great session, everybody. Thank you for an opportunity to be mentor today. So one of my takeaways, if I were to wake up another day, and this is coming from a child of an immigrant parent who came to Canada and then sat there and saw them struggle and try, and very smart-minded mother of mine, but not getting opportunity. And so I'm going to use that word again. If I were to wake up with no skill sets, what I'd like to do is remember that legacy, remember the path, so that if this happens to someone else where they wake up with no skills, there's that community and there is those breadcrumbs around to help them also. Because if I fall asleep again and I wake up with no skills, I hopefully will wake up to a community around me to remind me of who I am, to remind me of
Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin Judge, and I'm excited to be here today. And I actually don't think I would wake up with no skills. I think that we all have skills. It's just a matter of we recognize what those skills are and how they can help other people with the needs that they have, right? So we all have some sort of skills. The one thing that I would suggest that you do differently. So you can probably tell I've been around the block a few times. 21 years in the corporate world, 11 years doing my own business. So my career has been 31 years, 32 years. I would say to you, you need to forgive yourself. As you look back in your career, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50-ish, you're going to look back at times and say, oh, I wish I had done this differently. I wish I had made this decision differently. Pardon my language, that's bullshit. You did the best that you could with the information you had at the time. So remember that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've had the chance to listen to the men, but before we go to the leadership circle and end this, I want to do something I've not done before. I've not had the chance to bring the person who completes me on camera before. So I want to give Ngozi the opportunity to tell us what she would do differently. The reason I say this is because I've watched her with pregnancy without knowing one person in this country. I've watched her develop strategies I talk about that I can't do. What are those strategies? Going to Gemba. In engineering, there's something we call go to Gemba. You want something done, you gotta go to Gemba. Go to Gemba is go where it's done. It's called the Gemba walk. Go do the Gemba walk. Ngozi Iluabuchi Igwe personifies the Gemba walk for me every day. So I am possible.
Thank you.
But don't say you won't marry me.
I don't. I said you won't marry me. I said next week.
Leave it to Charles.
Yeah. What would I do differently? Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
I think I'm someone that is very comfortable knowing that people struggle with that a lot. You know, all their colleagues will come with the laurels. You want to keep hanging on to that, even though you need to get comfortable losing that sense of self. I'll dial back to when we came to Canada. I came with a sense of I'm going to struggle. But people came with, oh, I have all their colleagues in Nigeria, I'm going to figure it out quickly. It took me 22 months to get my first job. 2 whole years, almost. I'll say my first job because I know what I wanted to do, but I had to take many steps back to get there. And now when I talk to some people, I go like, yeah, you're not prepared to stoop. You're going to struggle. And I don't want my story to be your story. You don't have 22 months for you. But you're coming to a place where, for most of us, you don't know anyone. At least that was my story in Cornwall. I didn't know anyone. So there was that evidence that there are going to be challenges. And many of us have heard people say, you fail forward and get up very quickly. I also consider myself strong in that aspect. I'm very comfortable failing, figuring it out, crying, cursing, then moving on quickly. I like to surround myself with people that move the needle. If you're not moving the needle, we don't have a connection. Within 1 mile radius of me, you should be adding value to me. If not, I'll cut it off very quickly and I'll tell you why. So what would I do differently? Understand that no one is self-made. I'll need community. I'll need people. And I'll go to where I will find those people. And if it means, this might not appeal to many people, if it means cleaning the floor to get access, I will do it.
That was the part I actually was expecting. If it means cleaning the floor to get access, there is no pride in looking for what you want to do. Now, as we come to the end of this conversation, this gathering was intentionally made small. We could have expanded it to 100. I could have pulled in my network, begged my wife to pull in her network, beg a couple of persons to pull in that network and get the number that we want. But no, this was intentionally left small because it's intentional. In this crowd, I have Osaze, I have Osagi. These are people I know have entrepreneurship mindsets. I'm here to connect them to Kevin George. I'm here to connect Osaze and Osagi to Obed, who I call the money man. How can they access some funding potentially from TD Bank? What guide can he give to them? I'm here to assess Mayo, who is not just a real estate mogul, but is who I call an angel investor. She's the one that will give you insights. I'm here to assess my lawyer, Chrissy, who was not part of this event but decided to connect to support her husband. These are the connections we want. These are the connections we want to intentionally make. Please do not leave this place without making that intentional connection. Your leadership circles were deliberately chosen because you sent in your index, right? Everything about this gathering was made for you and is made deliberate. On your tags, you've got color labels. You have the same label with those in your leadership circle. Look for them, locate them, and have the conversations. These are not superficial conversations. In 1 month, Osaga will come to you. Did you get benefit from this? If not, let me know how I can help. That is the whole idea. As we come to the end of this conversation, we're moving to the leadership circle. For those of us at home, thank you. This is where we end our relationship with you for this month. Yes. I will be back in next week. Same time, same venue. Mr. Thomas, you have the permission to end the stream as we go to phase 3 of this gathering.